Most people know Kentucky for its rolling hills, bourbon trails, and champion horses. But hidden behind the beauty lies something older, something quieter, darker. In towns where everyone knows each other's names, no one speaks of the things they've seen in the woods, of shadows in church windows, of voices in empty rooms. This isn't just folklore. These are stories passed down in whispers, left off the record, and buried beneath time. Tonight, we open the door they tried to keep shut. Here are 10 haunted places in Kentucky where the silence speaks loudest. 1. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Louisville. It was supposed to be a place of healing, built in the early 20th century to house victims of the tuberculosis epidemic. Waverly Hills Sanatorium sits like a decaying fortress on a hill outside Louisville. But what was meant to be a sanctuary quickly turned into something else. Thousands died within its walls. Some say as many as 60,000 died, though official records insist the number is much smaller. Even so, death was constant here. So frequent, in fact, they built a tunnel beneath the building, an underground chute used to transport corpses discreetly, away from the eyes of the living. Locals call it the Death Tunnel. Visitors who enter the tunnel today report a strange pressure in the air, as though something unseen is moving just behind them. Lights flicker, even without power. One woman claimed she heard breathing, ragged, labored, and turned to find no one there. Others speak of room 502, where 2 nurses reportedly died under mysterious circumstances. One jumped from the window, the other was found hanging. Still, people return. Ghost hunters, thrill seekers, skeptics. But most don't stay long. The building seems to watch, to listen. And once you're inside, the silence grows heavy, too heavy. Was it the disease, the suffering, or something much older, anchored to the bones of the hill? 2. Bobby Mackeys Music World. Wilder to the casual visitor. Bobby Mackeys Music World looks like any old honky-tonk bar. Neon lights, country music, the smell of whiskey. But beneath its dance floor lies a secret that refuses to stay buried. Before it became a bar, the building was a slaughterhouse. In the 19th century, it was home to blood, chains, and death. When it was shut down, the land didn't rest. Instead, it attracted rituals, dark ones. There's an old well in the basement that some believe was once used for satanic ceremonies. People call it a gateway to hell. The hauntings began decades ago. A pregnant woman named Pearl Bryan was found decapitated nearby in 1896. Her head never recovered. 2 men were hanged for the crime, but many believe her soul lingered. Now, people hear a woman crying in the basement. Sometimes, the sound becomes screaming. Employees have quit after being scratched or shoved by invisible hands. Instruments detune themselves. Locked doors fly open. One DJ swears he was possessed. While alone in the booth, he doesn't remember a thing. But the recording captured him speaking in a voice that wasn't his. Even Bobby Mackey himself says he doesn't believe in ghosts, but he refuses to go into the basement. 3. Sleepy Hollow Road, Oldham County. There's a curve on Sleepy Hollow Road where the trees grow unnaturally close together, so close. You can't see what's coming until it's already too late. Locals know not to drive it after dark. They say strange things happen once the sun sets and the mist rolls in. People talk about a phantom car, headlights appearing in the rearview mirror, gaining speed, closing the distance only for the road behind to be empty when you pull over. Others claim to see figures darting into the woods, their eyes reflecting red in the darkness. One man described hitting something he was sure of it, but found no dent, no blood, no sign of an animal, just a deep, inexplicable fear he couldn't shake for weeks. The most chilling story involves the Crybaby Bridge, where a woman is said to have thrown her infant into the creek below in a fit of madness. If you park your car on the bridge and turn off your lights, you might hear the faint sound of crying or worse, the thud of something landing on your roof. What's haunting Sleepy Hollow Road? Is it grief guilt or the land itself, remembering every drop of blood spilled on its soil? 4. The Sealbach Hotel, Louisville. In the heart of downtown Louisville stands the Sealbach Hotel, a grand, elegant structure with marble floors, sweeping staircases, and a history steeped in luxury. But luxury can't always keep the darkness out. Built in 1905, the Sealbach has hosted presidents, gangsters, and celebrities. Scott Fitzgerald even stayed here and was inspired to set parts of The Great Gatsby in a similar hotel. Yet behind its opulent exterior, something lingers. The most well-known specter is the Lady in Blue. According to legend, she was a young woman in the 1930s, recently widowed after her husband died in a tragic accident. Distraught, she checked into the Sealbach, wandered the halls in her elegant blue gown, and fell or jumped to her death down the elevator shaft. Some say it was suicide. Others think she was pushed. Guests have seen her wandering the mezzanine level, her dress shimmering like fog in the moonlight. She never speaks. She never looks directly at you. But if you follow her, she fades into nothing, leaving behind only the scent of rosewater. Hotel staff say certain rooms feel off, as if someone else is already there. Lights flicker when no one is near the switch. Elevators move on their own. Phones ring with no one on the other end. And always, the soft whisper of a silk dress trailing down the corridor. 5. Perryville Battlefield, Boyle County. Fields don't forget war. The Perryville Battlefield looks serene now, rolling hills, tall grass swaying in the breeze. But in October 1862, it was soaked in blood. The Battle of Perryville was one of the bloodiest fights in Kentucky during the Civil War, with over 7,500 casualties in a single day. Many of the dead were never properly buried. Some were left where they fell. Some were hastily interred in shallow graves, now lost beneath the grass. Visitors to the site today report hearing the unmistakable sound of drums and marching feet. Some see shadowy figures in Union or Confederate uniforms standing at attention, then vanishing as quickly as they came. Others have heard gunshots echoing across the field, even when they're completely alone. A man once saw a horse, riderless but saddled, galloping across the horizon. When he tried to follow it, he found nothing but silence and trampled weeds that hadn't been there moments before. Some believe the battlefield replays its final day over and over, trapped in an endless cycle of smoke, screams, and sorrow. The land itself seems to breathe with pain, and when the fog settles low over the hills, it's hard not to feel watched, as if the fallen are still waiting for someone to count their names. 6. Camp Taylor, Louisville. Tucked behind residential neighborhoods in Louisville is Camp Taylor, a forgotten place with a haunted past. Once a thriving World War I training camp, It housed thousands of soldiers and became one of the worst-hit areas during the deadly influenza pandemic of 1918. Entire barracks were turned into makeshift morgues. The illness spread fast. Fear spread faster. Today, little remains of the original camp, but those who live nearby know the stories. Shadows dart between the trees. Whispers float in the air when no one else is around. One resident swore she saw men in old military uniforms walking single file through her backyard, only to vanish when she stepped outside. There's an abandoned bathhouse where the air always feels colder than the weather. Visitors report hearing water running, even though the pipes have long since rusted away. Some have seen fog form inside the building, shapes moving inside it, just out of reach. Children say the ground feels strange there, like it breathes, like something underneath is stirring. It's not a place people go at night, not because of what you see, but because of what you might bring home with you. 7. Liberty Hall, Frankfort. In the quiet capital of Kentucky stands Liberty Hall, a federal-style mansion built in 1796. Its brick walls are elegant, its gardens well-manicured, but within the symmetry of its architecture lies an unshakable unease. For more than 2 centuries, residents and visitors have whispered of the Gray Lady, a spirit said to roam the halls, dressed in a gauzy gray gown. Most believe she is Margareta Varick, the aunt of a former homeowner, who died unexpectedly while staying at the mansion in 1817. Since then, she has appeared to generations of occupants, usually before a death in the family. She's been seen standing at the foot of beds, staring with a mournful gaze, or gliding silently through doorways that no longer connect to anything. One museum employee locked up the house for the night, only to return and find all the windows wide open and a faint, musty perfume lingering in the air. A volunteer guide once reported hearing piano music coming from the empty drawing room, just 3 notes, repeated over and over. Some say the Gray Lady doesn't want to harm anyone. She's just waiting. For whom? Or for what? No one knows. The scariest part isn't that she appears. It's that she only shows herself to those who are about to lose someone. 8. Rose Opera House, Cynthiana. In downtown Cynthiana, the Rose Opera House still hosts community theater, movie nights, and the occasional music performance. But the real drama happens after the curtains fall. Opened in the 1870s, the Opera House has stood through generations of laughter, tragedy, and silence. The upper floors once housed a hotel, long since closed off, but strange sounds still echo from the rooms above. Actors rehearse on stage and hear footsteps crossing the balcony, only to find it empty. Lights flicker during performances. Props disappear and reappear in places no one remembers leaving them. The most persistent story involves a figure that appears in the audience, always sitting alone, always in the same seat, watching intently. When someone approaches, the seat is empty and cold. A theater technician working late reported seeing a child in period clothing standing in the wings. He spoke to her, thinking she was part of a school tour, but she just stared, expressionless, before walking through a closed door. There's an old dressing room in the back, rarely used now. The mirror inside it has been removed. No one would explain why. Only that people kept seeing someone else's reflection. The show must go on, they say. But here, some audience members never leave. 9. Octagon Hall, Franklin. Octagon Hall doesn't look like a typical Southern mansion. Built in 1859, its 8-sided structure was meant to allow for better airflow and natural light. Instead, it seems to trap things. During the Civil War, it served as a hiding place for Confederate soldiers and possibly for escaping slaves. The basement was used as a medical ward and later as a burial site when the dead began to outnumber the living. Today, the house is a museum. But visitors don't just come for the history, they come for the hauntings. People claim to hear children laughing in the empty halls. Others see shadows moving against the walls in broad daylight. A woman in a hoop skirt has been spotted looking out the attic window, though no one is allowed up there anymore. During a nighttime investigation, one group captured audio of what sounded like breathing deep, rattling, and close. The recording ends abruptly, with a man's voice whispering, "Leave. There's a room with a fireplace that won't stay cold. Even in the dead of winter, the bricks are warm." Some believe it's because someone or something is still burning. The house was designed to confuse the wind. It may have done the same to the souls within. 10. Pine Mountain Settlement School, Harlan County. High in the Appalachian Mountains, surrounded by mist and silence, sits the Pine Mountain Settlement School. Established in 1913, it was meant to bring education to isolated communities, a place of hope, nestled deep in the woods. But the deeper you go into the forest, the harder it is to tell what's watching you. The school is still in operation today, but the older buildings remain largely untouched, preserved like relics. Teachers and staff have reported strange encounters for decades, books falling off shelves, doors opening on their own, and the eerie feeling of being followed between the cabins. But it's the children who see the most. Several students have reported seeing a man standing near the edge of the forest, always the same figure tall, dark coat, no hat. He never speaks. He never moves. But look away and look back, and he's gone. Then there are the voices. Late at night, those who stay in the old dormitories say they hear lessons being taught, chalk scraping across blackboards, the murmuring of students reciting in unison. But when they open the door, the room is dark, empty, cold. The most unsettling tale involves the bell tower. It's no longer in use, but several times a year. It rings once always at 3:12 a.m. The school's records show no explanation, and no staff member admits to being awake at that hour. No one knows why, or what it means. The mountains remember, and some lessons were never meant to be forgotten. Kentucky is a land of green hills and endless sky. Horses run free, and old songs echo through the hollers. But listen closely, and you'll hear something else. A door creaking open when no one is there. Footsteps on a staircase you never climbed. Whispers that rise with the wind. These 10 places are just the beginning. So tell me this. Which of these haunted hollows would you dare to enter? And if you heard someone calling your name, someone you know to be long dead, would you answer?